Hi, I'm Andrew Wasson. Thanks for joining me for my weekly guitar blog. It's July 21st, 2013. And this week we're going to cover reading unfamiliar rhythmic patterns. Now this question was sent in from Freddie B. He's in Manchester, United Kingdom, and he wrote in with this email. Andrew, after 14 years of playing guitar, I'm finally learning how to read music. The guitar reading book I have is really simple first position stuff, and I've been okay there. The problem I'm going through is with rhythms in a flute book I'm using to practice from. I've included 2 samples in this email. Can you make a demo of them and give me some advice with them? They're simple melodies, but really weird rhythms for me. From Freddie B in Manchester, United Kingdom. Well, hey, thanks for writing in, Freddie. You know, reading rhythms that are different from the basic ones found in all those intro-level guitar books takes both good concentration and good rhythmic awareness. However, getting that awareness can be quite difficult since the working knowledge of rhythmic feel, along with an understanding of different groups of notes and a variety of note durations, can get extremely complicated for new readers really fast. So in this explanation, I'm going to run through not only the strange rhythms that Freddie was having troubles with, but we'll also be discussing the important ways that we can rehearse to help everyone build better rhythmic skills. Before we make a study of the examples Freddie sent us, let me begin by explaining the importance of understanding timing to an extremely high level. For most of us, we very early on will learn note value. So we'll know what a quarter note is, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's on the beat. It's one beat, basically. And we generally learn very quickly what the value of an eighth note is as well. Eighth notes are very common. 1 and 2 and. The idea is it's half a beat. However, there's a big difference between just knowing about these concepts and actually immediately hearing them in your mind upon seeing them written on a music score. So in other words, being able to recognize them musically is the real key to knowing them. So let me just perform a short musical example phrase to begin with, and then we'll carry on into some concepts that will help you from there. So here we go. Here's the example phrase. Now that's all and great if you can look at a short musical idea like that and fully understand the thing. But what happens if you look at that phrase and you really don't understand what's going on? The first thing that I would suggest you would do is pencil in the rhythm count of the study and then work on clapping through the piece. So let's do that next. I'm going to turn a metronome on and I'm going to clap through this rhythmic idea here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So once you have the rhythm down, the next step would be to leave the metronome on, of course, start tapping your foot and counting in time as you play. And of course, as you were clapping, I didn't mention it, but tapping your foot at that point is also very important. So tap your foot at all points of time when you have the metronome on. Link yourself up, internalize everything with the metronome's pulse that you have. But anyway, here is the short musical example played with the metronome and counted aloud. This is another important element. So here we go. Counting aloud. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's review some of this. First of all, penciling in the count for the part is definitely a solid first step to take with any of the more confusing rhythmic ideas that you encounter. Then by clapping the pulse of the rhythmic duration, you really isolate and actually burn in the proper groove that needs to be there. The next steps are, of course, counting in to the example, counting along while you play. Make sure you're always tapping your foot with the metronome going, and pay a lot of attention to that click track of the metronome to keep yourself balanced balanced with that underlying beat. I know it can be challenging. However, over time, more and more of your unconscious mind will begin to take over with this process, and it'll get easier. Anybody who plays drums out there and is getting into guitar, listening to this right now, watching this video, you'll totally agree with that. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Also, be sure to keep in mind that even though it's challenging and at times even highly frustrating, this type of practice is exactly what will 100% drive home the beat and the feel of proper timing. These procedures are basically the key to developing great rhythmic ability. Now, next, I'd like to have a look through Freddie's examples that he emailed me. The first example he sent me has two troublesome areas. The first is the abundance of eighth rests, and the second is the tie in measure 3 from the upbeat of the count of 1 over to the count of 2. So the first step is to number the beats so we can differentiate exactly how and where every attack falls and where the rests occur. So let's do that first. Next, let's clap the rhythm of the example to gain the proper rhythmic feel. And I'll leave the metronome off for this part. Here we go. 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I left the metronome off because I wanted to put the point out there that you do not always have to have it on. If something's really confusing, you're just trying to clap the thing out to gain some kind of sense of the rhythmic feel, you don't have to have that rhythm track behind you with the click on the metronome. However, as soon as it starts coming together, certainly turn it on. Let's turn that metronome on now and slowly count and play through this part. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is a rather complicated rhythm because of all those rests and how the beat seems to be so broken apart. However, with practice and breaking into the sections of the whole rhythm concept very slowly, as you had gone through the system with me, it does help quite a bit. Okay, let's have a look at Freddie's other example. In this one, we have two more troublesome issues. The first is the appearance of quarter notes upon the upbeat of the count of 3 in not only measure 1, but it occurs again on the upbeat of 1 in measure 2, and again in measure 3's upbeat of 3, and yet again in measure 4 on the upbeat of 1. Add to that, there's a tie occurring on the upbeat of 4 in measure 3. So now, even though there's all of these funny rhythms happening, the approach to figuring them out is still going to be exactly the same. So begin by numbering the beats to differentiate exactly how and where every beat falls in the overall time. And you'll also learn where to stop for the rests that occur in the phrases. And so do that first, and the next step would be to clap the example to gain proper rhythmic feel. I'm going to put a metronome on this time for that. So here we go. Let's clap and count through this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4. So it's definitely a little bit more syncopated than some of the others that we had looked at. So next up, let's finally get going with the count and play aspect through the part in time while we're tapping our foot to internalize that beat. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4. So developing your rhythm skills can take a good deal of practice time, obviously. But although, looking on the bright side, there are plenty of other guitar techniques and other areas of guitar study that will certainly take much longer than getting good at rhythmic skills. So be sure to add the practice of rhythm into your daily routine, and I guarantee that your knowledge and your awareness of rhythmic grooves will slowly develop into a solid skill. Just be sure to follow the steps I've outlined here in this video to recap, pencil in the count of any confusing rhythm that you might come across. Clap rhythms before playing the idea on your guitar, and use a metronome to keep a backing beat with your foot tapping constantly to internalize the underlying pulse. If you practice these concepts, your rhythmic ability will most certainly increase to a very competent level of skill in practically no time at all. Anyway, that's about all the time I have for today. As always, thanks for watching. Have yourself a great week, and I'll catch up with you next time. Bye for now.